Welcome to episode 6 of Comic Watchers, brought to you by Comic Watch. Comic Watch is your source for all your comics and media news and reviews written by fans for fans. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Spread the word that we're coming for the clickbait sites. It's our time now. My name is Cody and I'm coming to you from Oahu, and here's the rest of the gang.
Brian from Comic Watch, and side project is Superhero Book Club on Facebook and Tumblr. Go Derbs.
Oh, fine. I'm I'm Brian Durbridge from Salt Lake City.
And I'm John Jack. You can find me in my Facebook group for the love of comic books. I also write for Comic Watch. We do have a Patreon account, and please make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you like what you see. We do 2 shows a week as of now, including my personal indie comic show, which is a little shorter.
Do you have a show coming up, Brian? Were you still going to do that?
Yeah, it's going to be a daily Comic Watch program. It's your news, everything comics under 5 minutes. We're still working out all the details and ironing some stuff out.
Cool. Comic Watch Roundup.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, it was a relatively slow week for comic and news this week. We'll be spotlighting Gideon Falls shortly, but first let's toss it over to our under-the-weather man, Brian, for this week's news forecast. Brian?
Yeah, all right. So first we may see Gwyneth Paltrow in Avengers 4 as she is suited up in the rescue armor. Luke Cage joins Iron Fist to the list of Netflix Marvel shows that are canceled. Cloak and Dagger is not canceled as Olivia Holt posted on her Instagram. Season 2 is in production. Lex Luthor will be joining Supergirl this season, but will not be part of the Elseworld crossover. In fact, they don't even have the full casting for Lex yet, or if they do, it's completely sealed lips. Wonder Woman 1984 will be pushed back until the summer of 2020. The 5th and final season of Gotham begins in 5 months. This may be old news. I don't know. I just read it. Captain Marvel gets a new origin story in the life of Captain Marvel #4. It's a miniseries 1 out of 5. I'm actually waiting for the trade. I was actually pretty excited about it. The artwork and the cover looks great. But that's all I have for news today.
I do have a little tidbit also. Dark Horse today announced that they're going to be liquidating a lot of their Conan back stock prior to December when they lose the license, because after December they can't sell it out of their warehouse. It can only be sold at a retailer level. So there is a list of 48 trades and hardcovers that they're going to be selling to retailers at reduced prices. I posted a full list on my Sword and Sorcery page, which is Swordsmen and Sorcerers comic books. I have a bunch of pages. But I can post the full list in the comments for this video also. You can get in touch with your LCS, your local comic shop, and they can order those for you at a reduced price and hopefully not sell them to you at full price.
Hopefully, right? Yeah.
I've heard some horror stories.
So going along with the news, I guess Daredevil and Jessica Jones might get canceled as well. There's rumor out there. So Disney's coming, it sounds like, finally. We've all been waiting for it. And then, did you guys see the Bane suit for the new Gotham series?
No.
Like Bane's new suit? Oh, it's awful.
It doesn't look good.
It looks like a walking iron lung.
But that's kind of almost, to me, that's some of the appeal of Gotham, is that Gotham has this weird symbiotic relationship between the past and the present. So you've got these big boxy cars, you've got these telephone booths and these old school baby carriages, and you've also got cell phones and cell phone technology. I always thought that was kind of neat. So, I mean, I could see them going with old tech to make Bane look, however it is that he would have looked in the 40s, because there's that weird 40s today hybrid blend. I kind of dig it. I haven't seen the suit, but
I don't know. Originally, Bane was just a regular guy with who took Venom. He wasn't on life support. So I don't know what's going on with this. But Gotham, I liked a lot of the first couple seasons, but season 3 I ran without looking back.
Oh, it's so good.
Season 4 was exceptional. Season 4 was exceptional.
Oh god, it got the tail end of season 2. The show just like decided it was done trying to be Gotham Central because it was never going to be, and turned into just an Elseworlds parody of its own self, and I love it.
But I liked the Gotham. I liked Gotham Central. I loved it.
Oh no, I love Gotham
That's
Central.
what I was hoping it turned into. I wanted the Jim Gordon show. And,
yeah, you're never going to get a good Gotham Central show, though.
I know, but I want it.
Unless you get Brubaker to write it. He does write TV sometimes.
That's true, he does. Doesn't he have a project in the works right now?
He does, which is why he slowed down a little bit on writing books, but it seems like he's back now with My Heroes Have Always Been Junkies 2 weeks ago, and the announcement that Criminal is getting an ongoing series starting in January.
Oh, nice. I hadn't heard that.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be really cool. He said he's doing a mixture of full-scale arcs, one-shots, shorter arcs that are 1 to 2 issues, or 2 to 3 issues, and it's going to be scattered and kind of focusing on various characters within the universe instead of any. So basically, what he's done with all the miniseries to date, but in a continuous fashion. It looks amazing.
Nice.
It sounds amazing. If you like Criminal.
The Netflix cancellations are really interesting to me. I'm really interested to see where that ends up going. I mean, obviously, this is all because because Disney wants its own streaming service, and we've been hearing about that for a year now. But to cancel moderately popular shows, like I get that, Iron Fist spoke to a very select few fans. Those of us that love it. Those of us that don't really seem to hate it. But Daredevil is incredibly popular, and we'll get into that a little bit later with the new season having just dropped. But the idea that they could potentially cancel these shows and not restart them is worrisome, I think.
Yeah, it's whatever it is they're doing, they believe it's in their best interest, so we'll see what happens.
We will see.
I assume they're all going to some kind of Disney streaming service that I probably won't subscribe to.
It's hard to say that it would go to Disney because it's not. There are more or less R-rated, and Disney's already said there's going to be no R-rated content on the streaming service. So,
but they've also said that they're doing a separate streaming service for Marvel stuff.
Maybe
it's going to be part of their. It's going to have it. It'll be on a different .com.
Right, but Marvel has actually not been ever really rated R up until Disney and Deadpool and Logan. But we'll see what happens. I mean, it still sucks that show's got canceled, or those 2 shows so far.
And then they can release one episode a week and string us along for 3 months too.
Yeah.
Did you hear Young Justice is dropping the day after or the week after the last episode of Titans drops, which is in, 2 months. So they're not even gonna overlap at all. They're just gonna make sure that they've got a new show in production at all times to make it so you can't drop the service for even a month.
But there's nothing wrong with that.
I'm not even mad at them. Like,
I don't know.
You could kill the service for a couple of months, save them up, and watch them, or you could just pay the $75 or whatever it was for the year, and then you get Young Justice. I will give you $75 if you give me a season 3 of Young Justice.
Well, you're gonna.
Yeah, I did it. I already did it personally. But I happily did it. I was shut up and take my money.
Yeah.
Give me this damn cartoon.
Yeah, I subscribed so I could watch the next episode of. Yeah.
It's not even just about the shows that are there. Like, the comic books are worth it. Like, the whole thing's worth the $75.
Yeah, I think so. I like being able to pick up my phone and, put on a DC animated special just for the hell of it.
Oh, yeah. Like, I've been watching since I've been sick in bed. I was watching Batman Brave and Bold. Like, that show is amazing. Like,
it's great.
Yeah, like I mean, it's kind of campy and dumb at sometimes, but I've been introduced to so many characters that I'm not familiar with. I like it. Like I would probably pay just for the animated series. And then I'm
I think
also reading Justice Society of America. One, I don't remember which series it is or volume, but I like it too.
The Jeff Johns series is the one that
You're reading JSA.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I recommend checking it out.
Yeah, I think I'm the only one that hasn't seen Brave and the Bold. So,
you
give
watch
it a
it.
shot.
Go watch it.
It's so good.
Cool.
Kamandi the Last Boy shows up.
Just hang up the podcast. Go watch it. No one will judge you.
Anybody got any other news for this week?
Yeah, I had one other thing. I think it's old news, but as you know, Grant Morrison and Liam Sharp's The Green Lantern #1 is scheduled for November 7th, but it will have a midnight release. I actually kind of like it when LC or local comic book stores do it. I've only been to a couple. I'm not going to go to this one just because it's, mine's way out of town and I don't know.
That's pretty cool. Cool. It should be a really good series. Sharp is a really fantastic penciler. Morrison is, way out there, but capable of reeling it in when he needs to. It looks like it should be the best cop procedural we've seen in a couple of years.
Yeah, and they're supposed to be serving green cake, so maybe I will go.
Go for the cake.
They said it's going to be like a street level cop procedural, and then the solicit for issue 3 has Hal yelling at God. So I don't know how street level that is.
I'm sorry. What was the title of this again?
The Green Lantern.
Seriously, so like a street procedural?
That's what they're calling it. Yeah,
that's what they said.
Huh?
We'll see. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
I think one of the things is I think I covered Green Lantern for a couple of weeks for Comic Watch. They ended up saying something along the lines of, he's a good cop, but is he a good man? And it has to do with somebody that he arrested, fell to earth, and I don't know. I don't remember. This is like 4 months ago. Shall we move to the spotlight?
Let's do it. Let's move to the Spotlight book. So this week, we're talking Gideon Falls. It's an Image book from Jeff Lemire and Andrea Sorrentino. Colors by Dave Stewart. Oh, man, I just totally blanked. I had the notes. Letters by Steve Wands? That's not right.
Damn it, I just put the issue away.
No, it is. It is Steve Wands. I'm certain it is. Damn it.
We're only human. Please continue watching.
If you made it to this point in the show, we do apologize.
I feel like I'm the only person that ever actually even cares. It is Steve Wands that cares about the letterers, and I feel really awful when I forget.
No, you're not. I always, like, on Twitter, I always throw up the letter, like...
Dave Sharp is my dude. Best in the business.
If you're reading it, they did it. So, I mean, whether it's a sound effect or, exposition or whatever, signs in the background, these letterers are working their asses off so that you can read comics, and they just get so little love. So
sound effect panels too.
I follow Corey Pettit. I like him a lot.
Yeah, Nate Pecos, Joe Caramanga. Like, there's a whole bunch of them that I do follow on Twitter and that are just starving for your attention. So if you get a chance, go hug a letterer today. They will write you back.
I think my faves are probably Dave Sharp and Clayton Cowles. Clayton Cowles is good.
Yeah, real good. So here we are, Gideon Falls. It took a hiatus, if I'm not mistaken, right?
All Image books do. They put out enough issues for the trade and then take 1 to 3 months off. Usually 6 issues.
They don't all do that, but many do.
Most of them do.
Many do. Part of the appeal of Image right now is that it's creator-owned content, but on a larger distribution scale, with the brand name behind them. So Gideon Falls, Jeff Lemire, Andrea Sorrentino, Dave Stewart, Steve Wands. I was just introduced to it yesterday. I binged the first 7 issues. Thought it was really, really a strong book. I know JJ's been on since the ground floor, so I'm going to let him do the recap.
Hey everybody. So Gideon Falls is the story of there's a black barn that it's hard to say what it is because it hasn't been fully explained as of now. But one part, it's basically a dual-pronged story that one side of it follows Norton, who's a man who is finding pieces of the black barn in downtown Gideon Falls, and then a priest whose name I haven't written down.
Fred.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Fred the priest has been seeing visions of the black barn in the outskirts of Gideon Falls in a more rural setting, and but the city of Gideon Falls has a history of disappearances and murders that are pretty over the top for a small town. And the series, in fact, the first issue ends with a murder, and the trade just came out last week. And so if you're looking to catch up, now is the time because all 6 issues are available. Sorry, cat just opened my door. All 6 issues are currently available in one form or another between the trade and the newest issue, which should still be on the shelves. So issue number 7, just a quick spoiler-free recap, is so Norton and his therapist have begun are talking about building the black barn out of the pieces that Norton's been finding. He thinks it's his duty to build it, and maybe that'll, because it's like an incorporeal kind of space right now, which is part of its strength, is you don't know where it is. So I'm thinking that maybe building it could be an effort to tether it to the real world and maybe make it possible to stop in some way. The whole series has a very David Lynch Twin Peaks kind of feel, and is like the Black Barn could just as easily be the White Lodge or the Black Lodge or whatever it ended up being. And and there's a ghoulish smiling man who we've only kind of glimpsed up to now, who could very easily be Bob. So this could be Jeff Lemire doing a Twin Peaks comic, which I personally would read the hell out of. And we did actually see inside the Black Barn in issue 6. So that first trade is absolutely worth your time. And since it's Image, it's probably only $10. So yeah, another Image likes to do their volume 1s for $10 or less, which is a nice thing if you're looking to jump into a new series. You can get 2 new series for like $30, or 2 or 3 new series for like $20-$30.
Yeah, and another nice thing for the floppy collectors out there is that this has gone into multiple reprints on every issue. So if you can only get back to issue 4 or so in first prints, there are first, second, third, fourth printings out there. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, this series is I told you guys I went on hiatus for a long time with comic collecting, and when I came out of it, I started collecting. The first series I started collecting was Batwoman Rebirth, after Rebirth, and but Gideon Falls is actually the first indie comic that I started collecting, and man, it's just really finely crafted. It's intense, and that's what I love about it. It's just really tense, and the imagery is kind of linked to. I mean, at first, you just think that he's possibly schizophrenic. You're not sure if the Black Barn is just some type of, but then you see it elsewhere, and they just kind of start gradually feeding it to you, and it's legitimately pretty terrifying, and especially when you just find out it's real. And yeah, I mean, it's what do you say, $10 for the trade? That's way good. Just do it.
Probably $10. I didn't
Ish.
check. It could be 12. Sometimes with series they know are doing well, they sometimes do them a little more. But yeah, it's not like Marvel where that first trade's going to be $24 and it's only 5 issues.
Right,
I mean,
right.
15. Who cares?
Well, and it's already been optioned for a television series, right?
Ooh.
Yes, I believe it has.
Yeah. So I mean, that's something that if you're a comic fan that enjoys comic adaptations, it's something to catch up on because I think if it does hit TV, I think that this is something that is better suited to television than even comics format. And I think that there's a chance that Mr. Lemire knew that going into it, and that's kind of where the pacing to me feels more like a television show than a comic that I'm kind of used to. And that would be my only sort of negative knock on it, but it's not really a knock. It's just an observation, I guess. But the pacing does seem weird to me. And I can't really put my finger on why.
Well, the thing is I thought about while I was reading it. Obviously, I mean, I watched detective shows like crazy, and while I was reading it, I thought about it. But when you read it, you just realize a whole lot doesn't happen in each comic, like in each issue. There's not a ton that happens. I think you'd have to stretch doing a TV show with it. You'd have to probably add some content that you're not seeing in the comic. It would have to be done really carefully. I think I would choose FX. I think FX would do a great job with that show. As far as just regular cable networks, HBO for premium, obviously, but to be honest, Cinemax or Showtime, they could do a good job with it too. But
it's actually gonna. I think it was bought by HiveMind, or they're working with HiveMind, who has done shows for Netflix and and also Amazon Prime. So
okay. I mean, that's both of those work too.
Right. Yeah, I have a feeling we're going to see it on Netflix. HiveMind also is behind The Witcher, which is the reason we no longer have a Superman.
Right. That's still in the air, by the way, weirdly.
Much to Cody's disappointment that Cavill is potentially out.
I mean, there's no official word, to be honest with you.
No, there really isn't. But the fact that they're not even interested in making a Superman movie, that speaks volumes to me. But anyway, Gideon Falls. One of the things that I find fascinating about it is the way that they withhold information. And there's a point in the first trade where Father Wilfred Fred is given the opportunity to say, save this girl or find out what's happening here. And he chooses to save the girl. Like they're kind of, they're dangling the mouse in front of us and saying, come and get it. Hang on. We're going to give it to you. No, we're not. You're not quick enough. So, I mean, there's this notion that anything could be happening. This could be supernatural. This could be science in base. This could be religious. This could be anti-religious. We don't really know. And to me, that's somewhat exciting. There's a little bit of a kind of Slaughterhouse-5 Billy Pilgrim feel here where, Norton is unhinged in time or unhinged in space. And I don't know where that's going. And to me, that's exciting. Although it does, as you read it, it hits on a number of popular properties that you probably have read or seen that you'll be like, oh, it's a little bit like this. It's a little bit like that. It's a little bit like that other thing. So, I mean, it's really, to Derb's, what Derb said, it's really well crafted. This is a creative team that feeds off of each other very, very well. Sorrentino and Lemire did the New 52 era for a while, and it was really, really good. Sorrentino, despite being spelled Andrea, is Andrea. It's a male. I was shamed on Twitter for that by Andrea Sorrentino.
Is it Andre? Is it like Andrea?
No, it's Andrea. He is Italian.
Okay.
So yeah, I referred to Sorrentino as a she. He was quick to remind me that he was not. My bad. So I thought I'd go ahead and clarify that for anybody that happens to be watching that's like, oh, Andrea Sorrentino, another stellar female artist.
Shit happens.
Nope. Not. But anyway, I highly recommend the book. Maybe not my highest recommendation, but it is a strong recommendation.
Sorry, my wife is sick right now. I had to run off and change the show on the tablet for the son.
It's a rough week for us, folks. Bear with us. In fact,
I'm the healthy one this week, right?
Yeah.
If you make it to this point in the show, I do apologize.
Hey, RB, so
you have a mirror behind you, and everybody saw your ass crack as you ran to go get your change the tablet. So thank you.
That's what people want. That's what the people want. Keeps the
us at Comic Watch just to make sure we give you guys what you want.
It's like the 90s all over again. TNA, baby. TNA and comics.
It's got what
did you
plants crave.
RB,
It was okay.
Not your thing?
No, I mean it was fine. I'm not a big fan of the artwork. I know.
You don't like Sorrentino?
It's not okay. Let me say it this way. Like, I like the artwork. It's just not my type that I want to see.
I understand.
Like, it's an amazing artwork. Like, I like it. Like, it would be perfect for like a wall art or something. But in my comic books, probably not. Not really. But I mean, it's still really good, and I appreciate his art. It's just not my forte.
Sure.
What are your thoughts on Sienkiewicz? Don't mute your mic. I'm talking to you, B.
I don't know. I'd have to go back and review.
Okay, like I kind of feel like if you like Sienkiewicz, then you probably like Sorrentino. And if you don't like Sienkiewicz, and many people that I've talked to over the years don't. And for me, he was an acquired taste. Like, I was reading his New Mutants, I was reading his Moon Knight. It took me probably 15, 20 issues to be like, okay, all right, I see what's happening here, and I'm digging it now. But I feel like that's kind of the same thing with Sorrentino, where it's like, it's a little bit rougher, it's a little bit more ragged than some of your Jim Lees, your Fiona Staples, or some of the more clean artists.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it is particularly that I don't enjoy it. Like, there's not enough detail in the faces, I think, is a point for me.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, again, it's not that I dislike his art. It's just not necessarily for me or what I want to see in the comic itself. But other than that, I thought it was pretty cool.
As far as the artwork goes,
sorry.
Oh no. As for me, the artwork sets the tone. It's supposed to have this abstract kind of feel to it. It's an emotional tone. It's trying to strike you in a very specific emotional way. It's not just simply like, oh, I just want to draw it this way. I see real intention for drawing it that way, and not just this is how I draw. I feel, and I guess that's why I really love it, because I'm getting into that emotion, and I find myself digesting and absorbing those comics instead of just like reading them. I barely remember turning the pages. I'm just, but again, I understand, like, there's things that I can appreciate that people love. I don't have to. I can understand the love, and I can see the quality, even though if it's not my thing. So I totally get it.
Well, to me, Sorrentino is somewhere along the lines of like a Michael Lark or a Butch Guise or however you say that, or a David Aja. It's more of a less is more kind of. It doesn't need as much detail in every panel, but when there is detail, it seems to be more accentuated and significant as a result. Likewise, issue number 6, when they go inside the Black Barn, is probably one of the most phenomenal sequences I've read in the last 5 years. Like, it's so well conveyed, this sense of like, this is a dimension we shouldn't be able to comprehend.
Right.
Like, it didn't at all feel like you couldn't understand what was going on, and that was intentional. And that is not an easy thing to draw. Like I think one of those pages had like 24 panels on it.
Yeah, it read to me like those big long one-shot sequences that they do in Daredevil and in True Detective, where it's just one shot, no cutaways, lasts like 5 minutes. It felt that way because so much happens, and then you're just like, hey, let's go into the insanity door.
Yeah.
It was great.
Oh my god. Yeah, the series is worth reading just for that one sequence. It's like 6 or 7 pages, and it's just like...
I did like the therapist angle on it. A lot of the things that I saw was like, oh yeah, I've said that before. Oh yeah, I've done that before. So that was kind of a cool angle. But who knows what's going to happen? Are you guys going to continue reading it? Because I know that we all kind of binged it specifically for our spotlight. Because when it was first coming out, like there was a lot of momentum and a lot of talk about it.
It's been on my
I've been reading it
issue
from
one.
the start. I've been reading it since I've bought each one as it's come out. Like, so
I picked it up today. I put it on my pull list. I Facebook messaged my LCS and said, go ahead and put it on there and pull me any back issues that you already have. So,
okay,
nice.
So I will continue to read it. But those of you that don't know, I am the classic let it sit for 4 or 5 months before I get around to it and then binge several issues at once.
Yeah, that's what I do.
So
that way too.
So for me, like, I think it will read better when the volume is over. I wish my first time through that I had read 100 Bullets that way. I didn't. I would like to go back through and read it in trade one day, but it's one of those series that feels too big to read 1 month at a time. So
yeah.
I actually go the other way. I'm current on about 60 series right now, this one included. And every week I read about 20 books. And for 20 new books, and then like 80 to 100 old books a week, probably. But I
got time for that.
It's a pure hobbyist, though.
I don't have time. I don't have any time. But I honestly really appreciated reading it as it came out. Like, I gotta say, each issue, like, when I got each issue, I was excited, and it was never like with Superman right now being a monthly. There are times where I have to go, like, wait, what happened last issue?
Mm-hmm.
And I never felt that with Gideon Falls. Like, I felt like there were so many memorable instances, and like, obviously it took the Image hiatus after 6 issues, but it's been really consistent with its publishing schedule, which a lot of indies aren't.
Image is tight on that stuff. Like, they really push their creators to get it in on time. If you need a break, we will give you a break, but they push that really hard.
Yeah. Probably learned something from Image United.
All right.
All right. So
you all. Oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah. So Gideon Falls. It's a great book. Go read it. Let us know what you think. Comment. Tell us if you think we're crazy. Now, our own Brian Arvizu has a stellar recommendation for the entire world. As you know, we've mentioned before, he's on this Superman project, right? That he's gonna reconnect with Superman over the years. We've given him a reading list. JJ and I have constructed a reading list that we think is Essential Superman. And as he's working through it, he hit a winner. Yeah. Take it away, Brian.
So, no, I'm actually really excited about this project. When I first got it, I was like, oh, Jesus. It's Fantastic Four all over again, which ended up being great. Yeah, so the book that I'm recommending right now is Superman Red Sun. You don't have to be a fan of Superman. You don't even have to know anything about Superman to enjoy it. It is a kind of a what-if story, but it still shows you what Superman would be like if he ended up on the other side of the world. I recommend it for everybody to read. It's a good book. Do it. Do it. And now that I have DC Universe, my Superman list probably went so much bigger. So we'll see when that comes out. Maybe next year. Maybe Disney streaming service will come out before I come out with that report.
Was there a lot of Superman on the DC streaming service? I don't remember seeing a ton.
Honestly, right now it's saturated with Titans because that's the #1 show. But
So much Titans.
yeah, and then there's they're coming up with a premium service, so where you'll get the full library. So I'm sure Superman will be up there. I don't know when it's supposed to hit. It's supposed to hit this October, but we'll see when that happens since we're at October 23rd already and no mention of it.
I will get that if it means that all the comics will be there like I want.
Yeah, they even mentioned, and I don't know if I read this secondhand or if it came or as a news article. It says that it would even release the new ones, which will be crazy. I hope that's not the case, because then I'm gonna be like, well, I already have it that I can read it right here. I don't have to go 20 miles to go get a comic book, but who knows? Support your local comic book stores.
Plus, there's no danger that you're going to lose it because DC owns it. You're not doing it through a third party, so
Yeah.
It's yours, basically.
Mm-hmm. But that's still up in the air. That's not confirmed. I'm spreading rumors right now that I read a rumor.
Rumors. We love rumors. So, Red Sun, to me, is the quintessential Superman at his core story, right? Like, this is Superman as a believer, as somebody that is ready to buy in. I think it is my second favorite Superman story of all time. Mark Miller, author. I think Dave Johnson, if I'm not mistaken, did the majority of the interiors. If you haven't read, it's an Elseworld story that is, the premise is an asteroid field came up in the way of Superman's landing craft, and he landed 80 hours later, which planted him in Soviet Russia. So it's Superman as Soviet instead of Superman as Truth, Justice, the American Way. If you haven't read it, go read it. It's a phenomenal read. It's 3 issues, single trade, a relatively cheap trade too, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think they've done an absolute yet because I think I would own it if they did. But it is just a great book. I love that Brian is enjoying it. Read this book. Now,
I also like Red Sun.
Do you have anything to say about it, JJ?
Sure. I really like Red Sun. I like Elseworlds in general. Like Brian's, kind of along the same lines as What If you're more of a Marvel reader, and this is just a hell of a premise. As Cody said, probably the thing that always stuck with me about it is, despite his vastly different upbringing, being raised by was it Stalin? He's being raised by Stalin, so he's kind of. Stalin was a much more violent person than the Kents, to say the least.
He wasn't raised by him. He was on the farm, and then he went to the city.
Yeah, that's right. It's been a couple of years. But despite being raised in Russia, he still kind of seems to believe in doing the right thing, and he still ends up basically being Superman, a little bit grittier, and he's a little more violent, brainwashing Batman cough and whatnot. But plus, you get Russian socialist Batman, which is everybody's favorite thing. All in all, just a blast. Pretty much any Elseworlds is right up your alley. DC has also been doing collected Elseworlds trades, and I'm sure it's in one of those as well if you're looking for more variety. There's quite a few Superman ones. There was Speeding Bullets, where he was raised by the Waynes.
Speeding Bullets is so good.
He became Batman.
I bought Speeding Bullets off a spinner rack when I was 13 years old, and it blew my mind whole. Like, what?
The
What?
the scene where in Speeding Bullets where he stops the muggers and you just hear bones cracking off panels. Like, holy crap!
Yes.
Batman with Superman's powers is not someone to be messed with. Elseworlds in general, well worth your time.
I totally agree. I've always been an Elseworlds fan, which is part of why I'm so excited for the Arrowverse crossover this year. And speaking of television, Derbs, you've got some news for us on the Daredevil front, right?
Yeah, let's talk Daredevil. So it's been a big part of the hype machine. I'm sure you guys know. I'm just want to say the hype is real. Season 3 is as good or better than you've heard. The action's as solid as ever. I'm really glad that it's not the Power Rangers kung fu choreography nonsense. Sorry, I just don't like it. And it's also a reason why I don't like the choreography in the CW Arrow universe either. It's just all bullshit. Now
Okay,
we're back
Derek, thank you for joining us. Next.
You can't fire me, Brian. Well, I guess you could. It's kind of your idea. But anyway, we're back to good old real-world effective Muay Thai boxing. What are you saying, Brian? You watch UFC. Come on, get on the trolley. But the gang is back with Foggy and Karen. They're settling into their new lives away from Nelson and Murdoch. That are still grieving for the loss of Matt. Kingpin's the central arch villain once again. I mean, he hasn't been since season 1, right? I mean, he barely showed up in season 2. So you have all the you have all the individual Defender series, and you have Defenders. So Kingpin's kind of been just in the background, but he's so amazing. D'Onofrio is so amazing. You don't even notice. You feel like he never left. He's totally larger than life. And he's been one of my favorite actors forever, since Full Metal Jacket, all the way through my favorite Law and Order, Criminal Intent. Yeah, it's really the only Law and Order I like. So
Bailey and I were talking about that. Bailey and I were talking about that while we were watching I'll keep it spoiler free, but an origin story, and how D'Onofrio really he doesn't get the credit he deserves, and one day he'll get like a Lifetime Achievement Award, but he should get an Emmy for the performance he's putting forth in this season.
Yeah, that's the next thing I was going to say.
Oh, I apologize. Sorry.
No, you're good. No, I agree. That's all. He deserves an Emmy. I totally agree. And the show doesn't start slow by any means. I know you guys are probably around like halfway. Brian hasn't started yet. But once you get to about episode 8, it starts to gut you. Like, just emotionally, the tension, and after things that build up to 8 and then in 9, the tension builds up such that, oh man, my wife and I would just pause it. We have to pause it every now and again and just kind of like shake it off. Just kind of just take a breath and just go get a drink or whatever and get back to it, because it gets tense and really invested. So it's just fucking phenomenal. Why are you even listening to me? Go watch it.
Have you finished it now?
No, I've got 4 episodes left. We kind of binged it this weekend, but we don't want to rush through it, So
right.
We're not watching it when we're tired, But I'm writing the review for it on Comic Watch, and I just wanted to say, what are you doing reading this? Go watch the fucking show. You know, don't waste your time reading this piece of crap.
That was exactly how I felt about last season of Luke Cage, where I'm trying to write this review, and it's just like I don't want to write this review. I just want to watch this. I want to enjoy this.
Oh, I want to write the review. I'm just saying, it's that good. It's so good, and it's way better than that season of Luke Cage.
It is much better.
But that's what I'm saying. It's so good. You don't need to read the review. Just go watch it. Don't waste your time.
I've been surprised and impressed that it came out with so much hype. And I mean, since day one, Daredevil has been clearly heads and shoulders above the rest of the Netflix shows.
Yeah,
but now it's heads and shoulders above television. Like, this season is probably the best thing you're going to watch this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it's as good as the best stuff that's out there. And that's saying something for a Marvel property. That's pretty awesome for, a superhero property. Although, I mean, I love Legion just as much. I also really love Punisher, so what do you do? But it's right up there for me. But yeah, one thing that's strange is I know they're all the Defenders, and I know they're all in the same world, but it's always felt to me that Luke Cage and Iron Fist have such different tones from Jessica Jones and Daredevil. It almost feels like they're in different worlds. And I understand you don't want them to be the same show, but at the same time, it's when I'm watching Daredevil, I'm like, here we go. This is the tone. This is the temperature that of the water that I need to be in. This is what feels comfortable to me. But yeah.
It did definitely feel like that tone was something I was missing with the other shows, which obviously a different show is a different show. I will say, and I'm only a couple episodes into season 3, so who knows if it happens, but I would love to see Fisk take on Luke Cage at some point, just because, he couldn't physically do Luke Cage any harm, but at the same time, he'd find a way to, because he's Fisk. He can take on Spider-Man one-on-one. like obviously not necessarily in this universe, but Fisk is he's peak human,
Yeah, I don't think so much in this one. In this one, he doesn't seem quite as, he's not.
He's craftier in this one. I mean, not that he's not crafty in the comics, but he is devious. Like, there are some moments where it's like, oh shit, did he just do that? Did he just say that?
He's as crafty as he ever was in the comics. I mean, he's just as good. The best writers in the comics wrote him this way. I'm very pleased. Which one of you guys just read the Daredevil? Was it you, John? You just read Daredevil over?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the whole. There was a good, probably 50 issues out of the 120 had Fisk in them in some form or another, and I binged Daredevil Volume 2, issue 1 through 120 a couple weeks ago, which is Kevin Smith in 1997 through Brubaker in 2010.
Man. So much Daredevil.
Yeah, it was great.
So I'm going to roll into my comic review, if that's cool. I've still got my head in the Titans. We're with Teen Titans 23. The world has been nothing but Titans for me for almost 4 months now. So here we go. I actually am still really like Teen Titans. We've got Adam Glass, Bernard Chang with breakdowns, Scott Hanna with finishes, Hi-Fi colors, Rob Lay on letters, Darrington and Garner on covers. Just still really good. So we kind of start with a panel with Police Commissioner Gordon getting shot by a sniper. And this sniper is the one that Red Hood told Robin is associated with the other in the previous comic, and that Gordon was their target. So he gets shot in the eye, looks dead, And then they cut to Wally confronting Roundhouse and the same at Roundhouse's house, the House of Roundhouse, and just like at the end of the last comic, and he's totally pissed at him for not telling the team that he survived the nuclear blast. And I mean, Wally's been chewed up inside with grief, and basically Roundhouse just says my cell phone was melted, and he kind of explains how he survived it, but it's comic book ease. I don't know what it is. It's something to do with theory of physics, but I don't know what. It probably had something to do with Roundhouse's suit / powers, whatever makes him blue. I don't know. Anyway, then they head to the scene of the shooting. Wally and Roundhouse do. And when they get there, luckily they find out it's Jin and not Gordon who appears to be shot. But it's really just an illusion. And then we cut to Crush, Robin, and Red Arrow that are surveying Lady Vic. She's the assassin, and she just thinks she's killed Gordon, but hasn't. So Kid Flash and Roundhouse arrive, and the team is really glad to see he's alive. They officially make him a member of the team. And
Lady Vic's in this book?
Yeah, she is.
Oh wow, that's so cool. She was a Nightwing villain from Dixon's run back in '96.
Well, she's not anymore.
That's awesome.
Well,
I didn't know that.
But she's this may be the last book she's in. So so their little powwow alerts Lady Vic, and so the team has to pursue her. The use of force almost brings her down, but she uses a few explosive tricks to allow her to escape into a nearby building. So Jin and Red Arrow go to the top, and once they get there, Red chews Jin out for allowing Robin to be distracted by the relationship. They're kind of sweet on each other, and it's pretty cute, but Robin's definitely getting distracted. And at the ground, Robin lectures Crush for causing collateral damage in the form of throwing a car to try and stop Lady Vic from moving on, but Jin uses her power to move it so it doesn't hurt any people. But yeah, he lectures Crush for the collateral damage and just her being just a poor team player. And Crush was not happy about that. Anyway, they all meet up outside a room where they think they have Vic cornered, and they open the door and they find her claw-marked body stapled to the wall with these hooked blades. So she's dead, and there's this big word boom written out in her blood. And Roundhouse is like, I wonder what boom means. And then the building explodes. And that's it. And it's a decent explosion. All the windows are out, and the top 3 stories are completely blown off the top and are going to, yeah. So I guess they're all dead, and that's it.
End of series.
Yeah, that's it.
No more Titans.
No more Teen Titans.
Did Tom King write this?
Oh my God.
Just completely ignored by the rest of the books.
Can you turn it off? Cody?
No, I can't. Can't be done.
Is this a Crisis tie-in?
But so yeah, I'm still really enjoying it. The dialogue is awesome. You do feel like these guys are teens, but they're very functional. They know what they're doing, but at the same time, they're screwing up, just not incredibly horribly. Yeah, it's good.
Who did you say is writing it right now?
Oh, come on now. Why are you doing that to me? It's Adam Glass. It's Adam Glass.
Okay.
Sorry,
Okay.
I've had a lot of this beer, and it's
Abnett that's writing Titans, and it's Glass that's writing Teen Titans, right?
Beer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a big glass
just
of
clarifying.
beer, so.
I will catch up eventually. Just not there yet.
Yeah. But yeah, that's it. If you like the characters, you should be reading this.
I like Lady Vic. I don't really care about any of the characters.
Well, Lady Vic's dead.
Yeah, maybe probably though. She's been dead before.
Well,
Nobody dies in comics
Yeah.
except Uncle Ben.
Peter.
Peter Parker's parents.
Peter.
Poor Pete.
Damn Red Skull.
Oh no.
Oh, that was such a bad issue.
Yeah, no, we're done with that. Next song.
Okay, who's that?
I guess that leaves. Oh well, JJ, you got a Thor.
Yeah, I'm this week. Hang on. I am reviewing Thor #7. Sorry, I'm in my bedroom. My wife's sick, so she's on the couch in the next room. I'm trying to keep it down. That's why I'm kind of not as boisterous as I tend to be. Also, haven't had any drinks. She's right behind me, isn't she? I'm just kidding. Okay. Thor #7 by Jason Aaron with art by guest artist Christian Ward. So we're back to the Thor, All-Father Thor in the future. Last issue we saw him fighting Phoenix Force infested? No, possessed Logan, oldest man Logan. This is like 10,000 years or 50,000 years in the future, and Logan is the Phoenix now. Most of the universe is dead, having been eaten by Galactus. So last issue, Logan and Thor were fighting for New Earth because back in Thor 700, Thor rekindled Earth, life on Earth, because life on Earth had been charred to a there wasn't life on Earth anymore. One thing I will stress about this Thor run in general and this Thor series, it is in no way new reader friendly. Like, you pretty much, I just told Derbs yesterday, if you want to read this, you basically want to go back to 2012 and read through to now, and then you'll have a really, really good, solid handle of what's going on. If you picked this issue up by itself, you would have no idea what was going on. I know I've heard some reviewers on some other podcasts who are more casual readers of Thor or something. I'm personally a very big Thor fan. I've been slowly reading Simonson's run on my in my free time, just for fun. Because I like to read them. But so last issue ended with Dr. Doom, arriving on New Earth 10,000 years in the future, wielding the combined powers of Iron Fist, Starbrand, Doctor Strange, and Ghost Rider, along with his own. Doom is now an uber-powerful immortal. and Thor, All-Father, and Thor is now the All-Father, which happened back in God of Thunder in 2012. So, yeah, exactly. It's so not new reader friendly. But so future Thor is the All-Father, having replaced the now dead Odin, and he's the last Asgardian god following the rampage of Gore the God Butcher across the cosmos, killing all gods. And oh my god, there's so much stuff to tell you. I'm not even into the synopsis yet. That was a joke. But so Doom has arrived on New Earth, and with his minions, one of whom is Fin Fang Foom, and there are some others who I don't recognize, just some kind of non-named monsters, I suppose. And Doom tells his minions to basically kill anything that moves, and they begin to do so when Out of the Sunset Ride, All-Father Thor, and Old Man Phoenix Logan. They fight. They begin to fight Doom, who, as I mentioned, is ultra powerful and basically has all the magic left in the universe inside him. And Doom is actually holding his own against an avatar of the Phoenix and the All-Father, which is. It does seem a bit out of the wheelhouse of even the combined power of those four characters. Like, I don't think Doctor Strange can take on Odin, or the Phoenix. Likewise, neither can Starbrand. Iron Fist or Ghost Rider. I don't even know why they threw Iron Fist in there, just so his hand would glow. Maybe he's got
it
two.
Sounds so gimmicky and so ridiculous to me.
But
it also
Aaron.
sounds so Jason Aaron to me.
Yeah, that's Aaron for you. It's all about those huge, gigantic, epic moves. So Doom fights. He wants to destroy Earth to bring things back to the lull. Basically, the universe is starting to head towards the end. Galactus has eaten most every planet. Earth is one of the few that are left that Galactus has left out of like a sentimental thing, and it was just this dry, lifeless ball. And then want to say it was in Thor 700. Thor was fighting him using All Black the Necro Sword, which was recently revealed in Venom #4 to be the first symbiote. Final. I read too many books. But Galactus became infected with All Black the Necro Sword, and then fought across the cosmos fighting Ego, the living planet, and then Ego got infected with the Necro Sword, and so it was Galactus versus Ego, which, if you aren't aware, they have fought before in Thor, back in Kirby's Thor run, right around issue 161. I do read a lot of Thor. Doom manages to get Thor on the ground and takes his mask off and uses the penance stare on Thor, which, for a human, the penance stare puts you through every bit of pain you've inflicted on anybody for your entire life. For a 45,000-year-old god, that's a lot of pain. And so he does actually manage to stagger the Allfather for a few minutes. And during that time, he does manage to gain the upper hand with Logan and manages to incinerate Logan, Days of Future Past style, down to the bones. And the Phoenix chooses Thor as its new avatar. Thor and Phoenix have a history, actually. Or Thor and the Allfather have a history. And so now you have Allfather Thor, Avatar of the Phoenix, fighting Doom, who is all kinds of things. It is a little bit pushed to the very, very, very extreme in terms of amalgamation, but it could just as well be Aaron making fun of Marvel's push towards, mashup characters, as it could be. But it's ridiculous. So
you can hear yourself talking, right? Like, this sounds like the most ridiculous. This sounds more ridiculous than your last Dan Slott Spider-Man review.
Yeah. This sounds like when I was a teenager reading like the DC Marvel crossovers, and like the one DC Marvel crossover where they merge, and you had the Hyena, which was Sabretooth and Joker, and you had Dark Claw, I guess, which was Batman and Wolverine. But
I have all of those.
To the nth degree, just like a conversation that I would have with a buddy of mine, just what if in the future we, you had that kind of thing.
But that's Marvel right now. I'm pretty sure it's coming. It's got to be coming down from Marvel editorial, because you currently have Cosmic Ghost Rider, you have Red Goblin, you have Weapon H, you have Infinity Warps.
Weapon H. Oh my God! What if Hulk had Wolverine claws?
That's actually a really good series, though.
It is a well done series, but it's a series that nobody needed.
No,
but I needed that when I was 14.
Yeah.
But is this all coming down from Marvel editorial, though? I mean, there's no way 20 writers at the same time all went, I wonder what will happen if I take 3 characters and squish them all together and make it into one character. Like, someone's got to be telling them to do this. And likewise, I think editorial is pushing Logan cameos, because we've had 2 in Venom in the last 2 months, and we have 1 here. I think Logan and Reed Richards cameos are going to be a big thing in the next couple months between Fantastic Four and Wolverine coming back. So, again, both of these things seem like editorial fuckery, as I like to say. The mashups and honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they told Jason Aaron first 10 issues you need a half dozen mashups, and so he put them all into 2 characters at once. So that's kind of the way I'm looking at it. Is I don't necessarily think it's Jason Aaron's fault, the same way I don't think Donny Cates inserting Reed Richards into the last issue of Venom or Wolverine into the Venom annual and the Venom one-shot was necessarily his idea. So I kind of take those with a grain of salt. So anyway, Thor manages to force Doom underground and into the Earth's core, and they begin to trade blows in the Earth's core for hundreds of years. While life on Earth begins to rekindle, and hundreds of years later, or thousands of years later, I'm not sure. He just says decades go by. He might have said centuries. But suddenly the earthquakes stop. Because they're causing seismic upheaval. They're hitting each other so hard. Suddenly the low-level shaking that's been happening for generations stops. And out of a volcanic crag crawls the Allfather, finally victorious, and he falls to the ground and may or may not be dead. So this may be the end of future King Allfather Thor, who was introduced in God of Thunder 6 years ago. Yeah, I doubt it. But
don't get me wrong, I really like Aaron. It's interesting that he's going that far in the future, and he's also done the million years ago Avengers as well. Just the whole.
Well, he's since the start of God of Thunder, when it started, was 3 stories at the same time, which was Young Thor, Current Thor, and Future Thor. And Future Thor was the thousands of years in the future Allfather Thor, and then it showed them all fighting Gore the God Butcher. In various stages in their life, from young Thor discovering Gore the God Butcher to current Thor fighting Gore the God Butcher and losing, to thousands of years in the future, Gore the God Butcher has won. And that's the God Butcher and God Bomb arc, which are amazing. Absolutely amazing. And, I feel like as much as I stress that this new series and this issue in particular are not at all new reader friendly, I will say they're insanely rewarding if you have been following the issues all along, just as I think the upcoming War of the Realms is going to be. It's just, if you know what's going on, he's referencing books from 5-6 years ago, like single issues that it's not necessarily expected. You wouldn't not be able to follow the story if you did, but he'll say randomly something, and Thor or someone else will say something, and I read that issue. I know exactly what happened, but otherwise it's just a little bit of pointless information that you didn't need to know, when actually it's an important callback that provides context.
Well, cool. So if you're following Thor, if you've been following Thor for the last 6 years, issue 7 seems like it's the issue for you. If you haven't been following Thor for the last 6 years,
then go fuck yourself.
Maybe not so much. So I have one last review for you guys. I'm only doing cover number 2 this week. If you recall my reaction to cover number 1, you'll remember that I regarded it as a historic book. I really do feel like Cover is a series that we're going to be talking about for a very long time. That it'll go into that same category as maybe not the level of Sandman, but the level of Preacher, of Transmetropolitan, of 100 Bullets, of some of those great Vertigo stories. It's Brian Michael Bendis and David Mack on their Jinx World imprint at DC. So they rolled into DC. Hey, little Jack. Hey, buddy.
We're sorry, little Jack. We're sorry.
They rolled into DC. They set up this whole imprint, basically, for Brian Michael Bendis to play. So you've got Pearl, Cover, Scarlet. I feel like there's one more, or maybe one more coming, where it's just Bendis working with artists that he loves, in this case Mac, in Pearl's case Gatos, and in Scarlet's case Alex Maleev. Cover is a story about a comic book artist who has been co-opted by the CIA. He goes to Istanbul to attend a Comic-Con free of charge, and then is drafted into a mission to deliver, this piece of memorabilia based on one of the books that he wrote to the president of Turkey in order to spy on the president of Turkey's man cave. As the issue opens, we see Max, the artist, just getting the crap beat out of him by another comic book artist who has already been drafted previously into a similar type of service, saying, you think you're the first? What were you doing in Istanbul? Give me my big knife, etc., etc. So, you've got this kind of whole web of intrigue that's married to a separate comic book series that the artist Max has written, a samurai ninja series, where they're talking about how the wars of old have changed. And it's a really beautiful commentary, I think, on war in the 21st century, right? Because war in the 21st century is not like war in the 20th century, where you roll in with bigger tanks, bigger ships, bigger bombs, and you win. It's a war of information. So the parallel with his story and this samurai who's, being told that this child by his father, no, I'm not going to give you this sword. You are the sword. You are the weapon. I think it's really socially relevant right now in the ways that we fight wars with cyber terrorism, with counterintelligence at this point in time. My background is in military intelligence, and that's all I can say about that.
I don't think you're allowed to talk about that, Cody.
But it does feel...
Don't take it to the YouTubes.
It does feel incredibly appropriate. It does feel like Bendis must have talked to some people, must have gathered some information, must have done some research. I don't know if CIA is necessarily the right fit for it, because fuck those guys. Yeah, you heard me.
Shh.
But it's a really interesting book. This particular issue, the second issue, was paced very slowly and very intentionally slowly. You get several pages of Max in the car with CIA recruiter Julie, where essentially the frame is the same. It's the car, it's panel after panel of the two of them in the car for, I want to say 3, maybe 4 pages. And they're having a discussion about bugs, and they're having a discussion about how she was inspired by his book to recruit him to do what it is that she needs done. And then you get a similar kind of sequence at the end where they're in the hotel room after the mission talking about how nobody reads anymore. Like, if people read, intelligence wouldn't be necessary anymore. And I don't know that that's necessarily true. I mean, there's a lot that goes into intelligence, whether it's, imagery analysis or electronic signals analysis or whatever. But the idea that the information is available and out there on the internet. And people are too goddamn lazy to Google it. I had a friend, God forbid she ever watches this and figures it out. I had a friend mention the Michelle Obama school lunch program the other day and say, hey, for those of you that do research, did anybody hear that Trump canceled Michelle Obama's school lunch program and that there are no more school lunches? It's like, well, what kind of research do you think I'm going to do? I'm going to go to Google and I'm going to say, did Trump cancel school lunches? And I'm going to find out that, nah, he just kind of dialed back the restrictions. He made them a little bit less healthy and probably a lot more tasty. But the school lunch program is still intact. So people don't read. And that's
People just read headlines. Just read
Or
headlines.
they just hear something, and if it sounds like something they want to believe, they just go with it instead of. I mean, how long has the internet been around? How long have you been able to look up hoaxes? I mean, how long? I mean, it's embarrassing, to be honest with you. I mean, if you have a computer that's connected to the internet and you can fall for these hoaxes, it's embarrassing.
And you don't even need a computer. A cell phone.
Well, it is a computer.
Yeah, right. Well,
the internet,
Right.
But it is funny though, because I don't know about you guys, but I'm fairly new to writing press. But since I started writing for Comic Watch, I've been writing press. And the second you sort of immerse yourself into like reporting and stuff, you realize how shoddy journalism is almost across the board. Poorly researched articles abound. Non-sourced articles abound. Like the press, and I'm not talking necessarily political. I'm talking in general. There's like I'd say 60-70% chance that anything you're reading is just something somebody copy pasted off of another website,
Right.
Plus, like I said, people read headlines and don't read articles, and clickbait sites, which we call out at the beginning of our, like they'll say inflammatory things like Affleck out as Batman. How many articles have said that? How many articles said that in the months preceding Justice League? How many said that in, that there was like. Sorry, cat keeps coming in and out of the door, and I keep having to close it. But and do they ever print a retraction? No. They just the internet is forever. If you Google Ben Affleck Batman, I bet you're gonna find 10,000 articles saying that he's not Batman, dating back to 2016.
You're totally right.
Just as an aside, I mean, this is why I get along with you guys, because I really couldn't get along with people that aren't critical thinkers. I mean, my background, if we're talking about backgrounds, Cody, I mean, it's in argumentative writing, philosophy and logic, critical writing, psychology and research. That's what I focused on. And it makes my brain hurt if I focus on it, which I usually don't. I don't even like to dip into it.
Right. But I mean, that is a major plot point, I feel like, in this series, to its credit. Like, they're kind of exposing this idea that, people are only reading the headlines. Nobody reads for fun. Nobody wants to read just because they want to read. You read because you're handed an SOP at work, a standard operating procedure, and they say, read this, and you read, the chapter titles and say, okay, I got kind of the general idea. I'll reference this later. So, I highly recommend Cover. I'm not a huge Brian Michael Bendis fan. There are things that he's done that I loved. This is absolutely at the top of the list. And I guess I would be remiss if I didn't mention that if you look at the top of the cover, you'll see reference to my review of number 1. If you look at the cover of Pearl number 3, you'll see reference to Brian's review. So, I mean, we are reading these, we are giving them high marks, and it is being noticed for a reason. We're not giving them high marks because we want to be noticed. We're giving them high marks because they fucking earned it. Cover is a really strong book. David Mack is at his absolute best. Every kind of style you can possibly imagine. It's got digital coloring by Zu Orzu, who I would absolutely swear on any given day that is hand painted. So check out Cover. 2 issues in. It's a monthly book. Jinx World from DC.
Check out Pearl too.
Yeah, check out Pearl too. And I haven't checked out Scarlet yet, but check out Scarlet because
I've been reading Murder Inc. and thought it was pretty good, actually.
Oh, Murder Inc.'s the other one. Who's the artist on that?
Oeming.
Oh,
Michael
yeah.
Anton Oeming.
Right, from Powers.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, this is Bendis at his best doing what Bendis wants to do. Not, X-Men because Bendis is the hot writer. Not Superman because he's the hot writer. But these are his ideas that he wants to put out into the world with his friends. It doesn't get much better than that, and it's harder to find that in the mainstream than ever before. So check out the Jinx World books. Comic Watch gives it stamp of approval so far. I absolutely give my stamp of approval. B, I believe, does. So check them out.
What are you guys looking forward to this week coming up?
Punisher 24. Punisher 3. Punisher 3, man.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even know that was... Oh, man, I'm definitely getting that. Let's see, my list this week is... Can you guys see me? I switched over to my email.
No, sir.
No, you can't see me?
No, we can't. We got your... We've got your dope Spider-Man JJ icon, though.
Perfect. We'll go with that. All right, I have Action Comics 1004, Aliens Dust to Dust number 3, which I'm really excited for because we've been waiting since July for the next, because that got delayed. Amazing Spider-Man number 8, Coda number 6, which is Cy Spurrier, Detective Comics 991. Jim Henson Labyrinth Coronation number 8, which is also Cy Spurrier, Silencer number 10, Zero Jumper number 4 from Alterna Comics, and Zinneber number 5 from Scout.
I've also got Titans 28.
Yeah, that's the one that I'm looking forward to the most, is Titans and X-Men Red.
Yeah,
X-Men Red.
X-Men Red is high on my list. We get a new Flash this week, so...
I'm sorry.
Yay! I'll be writing a Flash review. This should be the end of the story arc, so I'm kind of excited in the sense that I won't have to deal with this anymore. But, but yeah, that's the big one. Old Lady Harley number 1 comes out this week. I know that there are a lot of people. Hey, there's a lot of people in fandom that love Harley Quinn. I don't get it. I don't get it at all, but hey, you do you. I'm not going to try to yuck your yum.
Mm-hmm.
I think Batman's Kings of Fear has another issue coming out, too.
Yeah, number 3 comes out this week. We should have the finale or one away from the finale of the Witching Hour
Yep,
crossover.
One more. Last issue comes out on Halloween.
Okay.
Fittingly.
Yeah, genius marketing move.
Yeah, I am getting that too. I'm excited about that. Yeah, pretty good week actually coming up. It's gonna be a good week for my indie show. I have an Alterna book, a Scout book, a couple Boom Studios books, and some Image books coming out. So I think Redneck has a new issue for Image.
There's a new issue of Redneck. I was just gonna say that.
Yeah.
Redneck has been really, really good. Donny Cates, if you're into Venom, go check out Redneck over at Image.
or Reactor from Vault, which was his original vampire mini, which only got 3 out of 4 issues so far. But the last issue, the Diamond order code says November, so maybe we'll actually get closure on that story. I was starting to think we weren't gonna. It was just gonna be one of those ones that got left. It's a 4-issue mini, man. Come on, just read the last issue and let me get on with my life. It's got 3 out of 4 out, but we waited almost a year for the 3rd issue. So once he started doing
sometimes.
once he started doing more for Marvel, he's sort of, and it's a Vault book, so good book.
What about you,
really
Ryan?
Just
Anything
Titan
else?
28 and X-Men Red. Not really.
Cool.
Yeah,
Was
it feels
that
like
it?
a pretty.
Action?
Hmm?
Anybody been getting action? I like action better than Superman.
Oh, I'm getting action. It's just, am I looking forward to it?
I know.
I thought
right?
you were asking a completely different question for a second. And that's none of your business.
Anybody getting any action? Yeah.
All right, and on that note, season 6, episode 6 is in the books. We are completely finished with this episode. Please join us on Facebook at The Comic Watchers Show. You can also check us out at comic-watch.com. Make sure you subscribe at the button, whichever side that would be on, and have a great day. Peace out.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.